another stitch. For those that don't know me, my name is Connie, and if you're new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. And if you are new, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know how you found out about my channel, and let me know a little bit about yourself so I can start to get to know you better. So how is everybody doing? How are y'all enjoying the very cold weather? I'm not. Really though, I thought this morning was going to be worse than it is, but I feel the temperature dropping, and now I'm like, I need to warm up more. I'll probably be, after I finish my channel stuff, I will probably be under multiple blankets to try to warm up. It's like, I don't know, like our house is not well insulated, and the air just doesn't circulate in our house. A lot of times we have to use fans to circulate it. And so sometimes it can be hard to get, when it's really hot to cool the house, and when it's really cold to warm the house. But anyway, let's get started on today's video. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my history with knitting. Then I'm going to get into telling y'all more about the beginner knit series that I'm starting. And I should be starting the first tutorial or video. I don't know yet if it's going to be a tutorial or more of a video on a subject to do with beginner knitting, or a combination. I just have to see, and I got to plan things out. But let's first get into my knitting history. First, why did I want to learn how to knit? Well, the thing was, I wanted to make shawls and beanies. I tried to learn crocheting, and the attempt then, there were certain things with crochet that I couldn't grasp with the tutorials that I was watching. I didn't understand the turning and the chains, So, eventually I finally found someone thorough and learned. But I actually learned knitting first. Well, I went loom knitting, then crochet. This, what I'm wearing right here, is loom knitted. This I made in my loom knitting days. And it got to where with loom knitting, there weren't as many patterns. And I would always see these knit patterns, and I was like, ooh, I wish I knew how to knit. So I'm like, if I could learn how to knit, more options would open up. So I had gotten some of those long metal knitting needles from a yard sale. And one day I finally decided, let me play around and see if I can learn. So I turned on Shandi with Expression Fibers, did her tutorials to learn how to knit, and I really actually picked it up pretty easy. I felt like knitting was more straightforward to me. And I find you have your stitches on your needle, you work your stitches, you turn your work, and you just go about it again. So I thought it was more straightforward. But a lot of times, especially people that learn crochet first, they don't feel the same. It's a different concept. But I learned from her, and once I learned the basics, I started doing patterns. And really, I did shawls, like pretty much right off the bat. I tuned into Morley Bird, and I loved Morley Bird's tutorials. And one thing is, that's how I also learned how to read patterns, because usually there was a written pattern for her tutorials. So I compared the two as I'm working them up and learned how it was written. And I learned how to make projects from her. And then I just kind of just kept diving into things. Another one that I feel like motivated me a lot on my knitting journey, and still does, because this person is a beautiful knitter. She's more advanced, and and most of y'all have seen this person's shawls. The person I'm referring to is Gina with Knitting Turnpike. I almost forgot her channel name for a second. I'm like, I know it. But I mean, beautiful work, and I aspire to be able to knit like her. I mean, I know she knows a lot of things I don't know yet, but I want to be able to have that type of knowledge with knitting. And I mean, Gina has like the most beautiful yarns. I'm always like, I would just love to be in the same room as her yarn stash. I just want that experience to see her yarn. But yeah, if y'all haven't checked out her channel, I'm going to link it down below. Any channel I mention in this video will be linked in the description box. Go check out their channels. But that's basically my background with knitting. So now let's get into the beginner knit series that is starting. I'm going to be calling it Beginner Knitting with Connie. I'm aiming for my videos to be on Sundays. I really would like to do it every Sunday. I have a feeling when it comes to anything tutorial related, I'm probably going to have to make some cutbacks. I may have to do it like every other week, and it may end up being like once a month, or you may see some months that I do it, I'm able to get to it more than others. I'm going to have to play it by ear. Like I said, I'm going to try to start off doing once a week, but I may have to tweak it because like right now I'm over there going, I need some knit time. I need to find time to knit and even crochet. So it's kind of a juggling act, and I got to kind of just see where I need to cut back to be able to fit other things in. So just bear with me on that process. All right. So I will be doing like some are topics, some will be tutorials, or it might be a combination in the same video. There will be a playlist, and the playlist will be called Beginner Knitting with Connie. I'm going to have that link in the description box of this video. That's where you can go to find anything related to this series. And whenever I feel like I've gotten through everything you need to know about beginner, I do plan to continue and start new series. Like one thing I want to do is a colorwork series, and I may actually start the colorwork series somewhat soon or this year, because I want to do some tutorials to link to my patterns to help people when it comes to making my patterns. Because one thing I'm noticing, and I notice it a lot of times with my testers, because some testers are more advanced and they can look at my pattern and they know exactly what to do. But when you've never done color work before, or you're more of a beginner to it, you've got questions. And there's certain techniques you've got to know. And to make things easier for someone trying to do my written pattern, I do want to have some tutorials on those skills needed and the methods. Robin with Roaming with Rover is one that kind of made me realize this, because certain things that she had questions on and had to figure out how to do. And there's even something she's saying that she's trying to improve her techniques. So, and a lot of people want to know too how to make my colorwork beanies. And it's been something I want to kind of show y'all. Halloween, I plan to redo the Frankie beanie that was supposed to be my knit along last year, but I'm going to do it as a tutorial and have it for y'all before Halloween. So that will be coming. I haven't forgotten about that. Just the timing was bad when I tried to do it. All right. So if you have any video or tutorial requests for topics you want me to cover, all you got to do is either let me know in the comments or email me. Just another stitch 2020@gmail.com. My email is in the description box of this video. If you go to my channel page, go to the About section, it's there. And it's in the description box of pretty much all my videos. There's a few I left it out only because I needed room for pattern links. So, yeah, get y'all requests into me. And I'm going to tell y'all some of the things that I already have covered, like plans to cover. And I thought of like a couple of other things either late last night or this morning that I didn't write down. And now I'm like, what were they? It may come back to me. But if there's anything that I'm not mentioning that you want to see, please let me know. And I'll do my best to make it happen. All right. So I want to get into the most common cast-on method, which is the long tail cast-on method. That's what I'm going to cover. There are different methods. That's going to be when I get into more intermediate and advanced, which will be a different series that I'll try to cover the different methods. And I may even just do a series just on cast-on methods. And really, I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. And I'm probably going to do a video showing another method that's similar to the long tail. That was actually, and really this is a method, I don't know the name of it, that I learned when I first started knitting, because when I first turned to a tutorial for the long tail, I couldn't figure it out. And I got to learn the long tail method for the series for y'all because I've never done it. That's shocking, huh? But my method worked for me. So, but I do want to show both methods. All right, next thing is the knit stitch and the purl stitch, your two most common stitches used when it comes to knitting. But you can make projects, beginner projects, just knowing those two stitches. All right. Cast-on method. I'm going to do the main method that usually beginners do. There are other methods, which will probably be another knit series I will do at some point. Counting rows and rounds. That was something that was a request that I'm sorry it's taken this long for me to get to it, but it's coming. I haven't forgotten. Quarter stitch and stockinette stitch. And it's worked up differently based on if you're knitting flat or in the round. And I'm going to get into all that. And maybe I may first show you what the quarter stitch is in one video or the stockinette stitch in a different video. And I may even show you both, flat, round. Like I said, some of this I haven't decided yet, my approach yet, but they are all topics that will be covered. Flat knitting versus round knitting. And again, that makes flat versus round, it's different. Information about knitting needles, double pointed needles, circular needles, and there may be some other stuff with needles that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, but I will get into that. And I do actually have a previous video on knitting needles, but I'm going to cover it again for this series. The dreadful dropped stitches and tips to help prevent them. Then I want to do stitches like knit two together, which is your decreased stitch. Knit front and back, which is your increased stitch. How to do yarn overs. I don't know if I'm going to do make ones in this series. I may wait until I get more into intermediate things, because at least my experience, I didn't use make ones on beginner patterns that I used. That kind of came later. And with make ones, you have what's called right leaning and left leaning. I feel like that kind of falls more into intermediate. How to read written patterns. Lifelines. Lifelines are your friends. I never use them as a beginner knitter, but it really isn't a bad idea to use them when you're a beginner. But I feel like when you do more advanced knitting, when you're doing lace work, lifelines are your best friend. It helps a lot with frogging. You're still going to have to frog, but if you make a boo-boo, it keeps you from having to start all over again. Fixing mistakes in garter and stockinette stitch. Now, there may be ways to fix some of the more advanced stitches. I don't know how to do that. Sometimes, like when I'm doing lace work, I can fix something, but sometimes I can't. That's why I recommend lifelines. And like I said, afterwards, I do want to dive deeper in different series, but that is the basis to the series. So if you're interested in learning to knit, I hope you join and watch those videos. And really, I encourage you to learn knitting if you love yarn crafts. I know some of y'all definitely want to learn. Some of y'all have learned a little, but want to, still have more beginner stuff to learn. Some of y'all have tried and couldn't grasp it. Maybe you want to give it a retry. You never know. Different people teach things in a method that works for certain people. How one person teaches might work for me and not you, and vice versa. So if you're struggling to learn knitting, my advice is try different channels, try different people. And you also got to realize you have two different methods. The continental method and the English method. And I believe it's the English method that I do. I got to brush up on that, so that way I make sure that I explain, some of that to y'all too. So that's something I need to get into. I only know the method that I use. I cannot teach you the other method. I've never done it. Okay? I'm a thrower, what they call a thrower. So that's how I teach. So I think that covers everything. So I'm excited about this series, and I hope you are too. And yeah, give me some feedback in the comments. Let me know if you plan to join in. Let me know if you want to learn how to knit, all those type of things. So anyway, I hope everyone is having a fabulous yarny day. Be the light, and always remember to be the best sporkly you that you can be, and be cool and be kind. Bye.